Welcome to Dodgers Daily. I'm Casey Porter. I'm so glad that you decided to tune in. Fans, we have a very busy show today, a very fun show today, a happy show, talking about the Dodgers' last two wins and the consecutive nights. Walk-off by Eddys Leonard. Organizational sweep on Wednesday. Madduxbruns was just simply fantastic last night as well. Peteheubeck threw very well. So a lot of great stuff to talk about. But before we get into it, just a reminder, if you'd like to help, we have a GoFundMe account, and the link to that is in the description. Also, hey, keep leaving your comments and make sure your notifications are turned on. That way, these daily videos can keep growing, and we can keep providing these videos in the future. Okay, so again, a lot of action to get to. Dodgers just a half a game back, so let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to it, and let's talk Dodgers baseball. So the Dodgers are 49-38, 11 games over 500. Hard to believe with all the tumultuous happenings of this year, the injuries we just saw about, Daniel Hudson go down again. Dustin May's going to have surgery. You've talked about Tony Gonsolin being injured. Clayton Kershaw's out till after the All-Star break. And by the way, shutting him down was absolutely fantastic. And being only a half a game back, even if it finishes with you just a half a game back and all you have to do is beat the Angels twice, I say all you have to do. That's obviously a very difficult thing to do, but the Dodgers did it last time they played them. If you just end up a half a game back at the All-Star break and you got to shut down Clayton Kershaw for this period of time to get him fresh for the games after the All-Star break, I think you had your cake and you got to eat it too, so that was great. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about is the amount of times that I've mentioned that I felt like, when the Dodgers were 4 games back, they needed to treat this series of games, these winnable games before the All-Star break, like the playoffs, with a sense of urgency, and they need to get themselves back in first place. Now, you have the setback where Johnny DeLuca hit the home run, and then, believe it or not, Evan Phillips just, didn't have one of those nights. Of course, it was his third night in a row to pitch. So let's talk about that decision. Okay, Evan Phillips had never pitched on 3 days in a row, and so that's number one. But here's the deal. He had pitched on 3 out of 4 days, 5 different times, and on 2 different occasions, he threw 26 pitches on the first day. The second day, he threw 24 pitches. So on Monday and Tuesday, he threw a grand total of 30. That's only 4 more pitches than, the 2 times that he threw the day after, throwing 26 and 24. So from a pitch count perspective, it was not excessive whatsoever. But just from the simple fact that, hey, it's 3 days in a row, you got to get up in the pen. It's not just the pitches you throw, it's called the up downs. How many times do you get up and throw in the pen? That counts as well on the wear and tear to your body. Let me say this. Kenley Jansen, he has done this 3 times that I could find in the last 5 years under the leadership of Dave Roberts. And I can tell you on that third night that Kenley Jansen pitched, he averaged about 7 or 8 to 9 pitches an inning and breezed right through it, and it never was an issue. And the night after that Evan Phillips threw 26 pitches, he breezed the night after that. The night after he threw 24, he breezed after that. So I don't have an issue with it from a pitch count perspective, and also I would be talking about both sides of my mouth if I make the statement, you have to have a sense of urgency. You need to play these games before the All-Star break, like the playoff games, and then also have a problem with doing that and bringing in Evan Phillips in a game that you really needed to win. I can't speak out both sides of my mouth, so from that perspective, I have to support it because, simply put, hey, Dave was trying to win that game. He was trying to put the best pitcher that he had available out in that game. And then also, another aspect of this is you have the All-Star break coming up. So, hey, he throws in 1, maybe 2 of these games against the Angels, and then you have the All-Star break, and then you get to take a break from that perspective as well. So, off of that 3 days in a row, he may only have to pitch 1 more time before you get an extended break. So I don't have a problem with it. In the long run, I think he was showing a sense of urgency that I felt like he's needed to manage with. I think he was showing a sense of urgency that I felt like this club has needed. Even last year with 111 wins, just didn't seem like there was ever enough sense of urgency for me. So from all of those perspectives, I had absolutely zero issues with Evan Phillips going 3 days in a row. It's probably not going to happen again. Well, I'll say this, it won't happen again. It would be an upset if it did. And then again, you have the All-Star break to rest. Okay, how about the offense? 8 home runs in the last 3 games. We know that this offense is fueled by the long ball. So who's going good and who's going bad? Well, how about Johnny DeLuca? Johnny DeLuca, I had mentioned, he was 2 for his last 5, but those 5 at-bats had been stretched out over 7 games. So to only have 5 at-bats in 7 games and then come in a pinch-hitting situation in a tight game like that, you're a hometown boy, you have all your people watching you, and to perform and hit a home run like that, that was simply absolutely remarkable. It was absolutely too bad that Phillips couldn't hold the lead, but I do not want to take anything away from that moment. That was incredible. So obviously DeLuca, he's now 3 for his last 6, has the big home run. Mookie Betts is hitting 400 in his last 7 games, and his OPS is 1475, and he struck out just 2 times and hit 3 home runs. So anytime you have a 7-game stretch where you've hit more home runs than you have struck out, that's obviously pretty good, and he has 10 hits during that time. Freddie Freeman, he had 3 hits last night. We saw that, a huge home run as well to get the party started. And in the last 7 games, he's hitting 310. And the last 15, he's hitting 320. And his OPS is 939 on the year. Actually, on the year, his batting average is 320. So in his last 7, he's hitting 310, and he's hitting 300 in his last 15. So Freddie Freeman's going well. And then Jason Hayward, he's been going well as well. Not quite as well in the last 7. 259, but in his last 15 games, okay, he's hitting 350 with an OPS of 979. So over the last little bit more than 2 weeks, he has been one of the best offensive baseball players in the entire league. And then but the last 30, it hasn't been quite as good, just 205 in the last 30. So it's been the last 2 weeks to where Jason Hayward has really picked it up. And then James Outman, we saw the 2 home run night. That was awesome. In his last 7 games, he's 240, OPS 824. So, hey, James Outman, he has those games to where he can get really hot. It was, I put out there that he had 4 RBIs that night. That was something like the 15th or 20th time he had at least 4 RBIs in a game, in the last year and a half. So, hey, he can carry an offense whenever he goes well. How about Landon Knack? He's in Los Angeles. Rumors are that he's going to start tomorrow's night's game. So what are you going to see in Landon Knack? You're going to see 5 pitches, fastball, changeup, curveball, slider, and then you're going to see, kind of a little bit, smaller slider here and there, a bigger slider or whatever. So, and then maybe a 2-seam every now and then. But Landon Knack, you're going to see 5 pitches, and the thing about him, he can throw them all for strikes. You're going to see he's going to sit. The last time I've seen him, he's been anywhere from 91 to 93. I have seen him at times, hit up to 96. So it'll be interesting with adrenaline if he does pitch at the major league level, what adrenaline will do for him. But my guess would be he would be somewhere around 92 to 94, probably 93, somewhere in there. Good changeup, good slider, good curveball, can throw. I've seen him get down the count 2-0 and then throw 3 off-speed pitches in a row and get an out. So from that perspective, he's going to have to locate on the perimeters of the zone. He's not going to overpower anybody. So he's going to have to throw to, that 4 slot on the outer half. He's going to have to go up and in. He's going to have to locate well. Then he's going to have to pitch backwards quite a bit, and he's going to have to land all of his secondaries in the zone to make all that happen. He's totally capable of it. That's the type of pitcher he is. And hey, going to East Tennessee State and then Walter State, one of the best JUCOs in the United States, he's used to dealing with high stakes, obviously not at this level, so I do think he'll be able to handle the moment quite well. So good luck to Landon Knack whenever he finally makes his major league debut. Wanted to get this out. Hey, Bobby Miller, he gave up the 4 runs. They were all on secondary pitches, and on his 4-seam to that point, hadn't given up a hit to that point by the time he'd given up 4 runs. So, we talked about last time how he wanted to incorporate more of his mix early in the game. I think, in that scenario, he got a little bit too cute, threw a little bit too many off-speed pitches, and those were the pitches that got hit for him. Emmett Sheehan, I messaged early on that he looked a little fidgety, didn't quite look comfortable, wasn't exactly sure what that was about. come to find out, just didn't feel like he was, in his mechanics that night. Didn't feel comfortable in his mechanics. And I think that's what we were seeing there. So, hey, he's got some mechanical work that he's going to work on in bullpens over this week. He has elite work ethic. He is extremely mentally tough. So looking forward to his next outing as well. It looked like Julio Urias got back on track last night after a little bit shaky start. He's given up some weak contact, but it was good to see Urias get back on track. We need Tony Gonsolin to get back on track. You have Kershaw, he's been great. Looks like Urias is getting back on track. Need Gonsolin to get back on track and be just like he was last year. That would give you 3 anchors. Then if you go out in a trade market, we talked about this on Dodgers Dogs, my number one target in the trade market would be Paxton. That's because he's the type of pitcher of the Dodgers. He would be plug and play. He's going to have the riding four-seam. He's going to have the slider, and he's the exact type of mix the Dodgers like. Also, Jordan Montgomery would give you variety. You don't have in your starting rotation a left-handed sinker right now, so that would be kind of cool to have a left-handed sinker. It would give other clubs something different to have to prepare for. And then, obviously, Marcus Stroman would be probably the guy who's had the most success this year that you could go pick up in an impact trade as well. But hey, it's harder to tell who the sellers and buyers are because with the expanded playoffs now, everybody is still alive for the wild cards at the trade deadline. So it's just that much harder to tell who the buyers and sellers are. So we'll have to wait and see. Those would be my 3 targets. And I do think if you went and got an impact starter, Lucas Giolito would be one, obviously, as well. He would be right there at the top of the list. If you went and got an impact starter, I think that fixes your bullpen because you can move Michael Groh to the pen, which I think is perfectly suited for him. You can move one of Bobby Miller or Emmett Sheehan to the pen, and then, then you can go addition by subtraction. As the games and your season starts shrinking, you coming to the end, you only use the guys that have been the most effective this year. And I think you can do a little bit of addition by subtraction. Then you can add, like I said, Grove and one of Emmett Sheehan and Miller. And I think from that perspective, you can fix your bullpen. At least start, from that game plan of fixing your bullpen by adding starters to the starting rotation and working backwards. And hey, way too bad. Daniel Hudson out for the year. He had just come back. He had looked great. I had live video of him, and I'll be darned if he didn't go right back out. And then, hey, how about Nick Robertson? 95.4 last night. Changeup was in the zone over 50% of the time, and every time that the Pirates swung at his changeup, they swung and missed at that pitch. His slider had 37 inches of vertical break. I've been telling you, this guy has great stuff. He didn't get a fair shake his first time up. He came in with the bases loaded at a place that's terrible to pitch at in Colorado. He had to pitch with Jason Hayward playing first and gave up 2 infield hits because Hayward couldn't catch short hops coming over to first base. Had an 8-day layoff. Just had, didn't have the right type of runway to show exactly what he's capable of. Looked good last night, so hopefully he keeps throwing as well. Alex Bessie is back up. Hopefully he can command the mental game. And then, you have Fergie, Phillips, and Gratterall, who have been really, really, really good all year. And you try to orbit around them and see what you build from there. So, hey, that's our part of the Los Angeles Dodgers part of this show, but we have a lot of action to get to in the minor league system for the Dodgers. So let's not waste more time. Let's get right to it, and let's take a trip down the farm. Wanted to start by congratulating, John Rooney, who, boy, this is one of the most overdue promotions I have ever seen. John Rooney has been in Double-A for parts of 3 different seasons. He was a starter. He moved to the pen this year. They moved him from a riding four-seam, tumbling changeup, north-south type pitcher to now a 2-seam cutter pitcher, which is more east and west. He's adapted to that, and he got called up to AAA Oklahoma City. So super excited about that for John Rooney. So congratulations, young man. Can't wait to watch you pitch at Bricktown Ballpark, just like I got to see Alec Gamboa pitch last night. Gamboa, another lefty who's been in Double-A for a while, so congratulations to John Rooney. Austin Barnes has struggled mightily this year. That's no secret, and we've talked about Hunter Fiducia, the great year he's having. He's hitting over 300. Patrick Mazeika had 3 hits last night for Triple Oklahoma City, and actually also threw out a runner. How about David Freitas? David Freitas has been very, very good as well. He's hitting over 300 for AAA Oklahoma City, and I'll tell you, I've been around him. His energy is infectious. He loves the game of baseball, and I can tell you this. I posted this on my social media yesterday. You know, at 34 years old, Freitas at some point is going to have to quit playing baseball. Everybody does, and he's getting a little bit closer to that point. There's Pat Vallejo, who the Dodgers just picked up. He's a little closer to that point than most of these guys, being at 34 years old. But having said that, okay, I'm telling you right now, whenever he has to quit, somebody's going to have to rip the jersey off of his chest, because it's going to be very difficult for him to do that, because he absolutely loves playing the game of baseball. David Freitas. Back-to-back catcher action. Hunter Fiducia had another great night Wednesday night, going 2 for 4 RBI. This is the last time he played, and it's hitting 309, 930 OPS on the year. Fetty has hits in 6 of his last 7. He has 5 multi-hit games in his last 7, and he's 13 for his last 27 with 2 home runs, 3 doubles, 7 runs scored. Okay, so Fetty's been playing very well. David Freitas over 300. Patrick Mazeika had 3 hits last night. He's been hitting very well as of late. So the 3 catchers at AAA Oklahoma City have been playing very well. Then you have Carson Taylor, Diego Cartaya at the AA level. Then you have Dalton Rushing and Yainer Fernandez at the high A level. Then you have the whole slew of Lorenzo and Jesus Galiz, who hit a home run last night, by the way. Jorge Puerta at Rancho. So the catching depth is absolutely massive. The 3 catchers, including Hunter Fiducia, have been playing great baseball for AAA Oklahoma City. It's been a long road for Steven Duggar that you're seeing right here. He has been injured most of the year, but hey, he is finally back, and he made an immediate impact. There's Wardo right there. Wardo's been hitting the ball very well as of late. Matter of fact, Steven Duggar had 3 hits for AAA Oklahoma City on Wednesday night. What you saw right there was a 6th double of 2023. Like I said, fighting injury all last year, and played just 2 games in June. But so far in July, in his 2 games that he's played, he is 3 for 8, and he has a double and a home run during that time. So Steven Duggar, one of those guys of major league experience in your minor league system on a minor league contract. You got to like the fact that he's back and he's playing well. Going to be a quick one. This is Michael Busch. He hit home run number 10 last night, and he had 2 hits again on Wednesday. He does nothing but continue to mash for AAA Oklahoma City. That's all I'm going to say about him. I've said enough throughout the year about Michael Busch. Ryan Ward, Wardo, young man. I love this young man's swing. He has some north and south to it, and power in the front of his swing, but he also has enough flatness in the middle of his swing to where he should be able to be that guy that's able to hit consistent. Watch this right here. Going to watch how flat he comes to this ball. Look how flat. See, so to the ball, nice and flat right there. But watch at the front of his swing, good power and lift at the front of his swing. That is the absolute perfect swing. Flat path to the ball. Watch the hands, flat path to the ball. But then that at the front of your swing, from right here, there's a flat path that's hands to the ball right there. From here through contact, see how the hands lift through contact there? That is at the front of the zone. That is the runway I talk about all the time, where you're landing that airplane flat through the zone. Then the front, they lift back off. That airplane takes back off. So he has the ability to have the power in the front of his swing, but the consistency in the middle to the back of his swing. I love Ryan Ward's swing. I'm huge on his hit tool, and he turned in his 2nd multi-hit game on Wednesday night in the last 4 that he's played, and he is 6 for his last 15, and he has 2 home runs, 6 runs scored, and 14 total bases. He's hitting .368 so far in June, OPS 1205, so hopefully Ryan Ward will keep on raking. So 2nd time around for John Rooney, and he deserves it, man. We're going to talk about him 2 different times in this show because I love this young man. Okay, so he got the call to go to Oklahoma City. He took the trip to Turner Turnpike, which it's a cashless turnpike now. I think they scan your plate and or you have a pike pass, so you don't have to stop anymore. You just go right through the toll gates, and then they charge you later. So he went, I believe it's like 110 miles from Tulsa to Oklahoma City. Probably took him, maybe a little over an hour and a half to get from One Oak or wherever his apartment is to downtown Oklahoma City to the Bricktown Ballpark. And then he got to the stadium, he parked, he took off his uniform, and then he put on his uniform, and then ran directly to the mound and pitched multiple innings for Triple Oklahoma City. Obviously, I'm being a little bit facetious, but not necessarily. We saw Deck McGuire in the 15-inning game. It was actually a doubleheader too. Ramon Tricoso was part of this, pitching coach for the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. They actually called him up in the second inning of the Tulsa Drillers game and said, hey, man, how fast can you get to Oklahoma City? Going to watch that again. Deck said, hey, I'll get there as fast as I can. Second inning, he went and got his stuff, left One Oak in Tulsa, drove the Turner Turnpike, and he got to Oklahoma City in time to be able to pitch in the second game that Ramon Trincoso pitched in. So, hey, I'm joking a little bit about Rooney parking, getting on the uniform, and sprinting to the mound, but I'm not. That may actually have happened. On the bucket list of things that Drew Avens can do on a baseball field, we've talked about, hey, he's hit 10 home runs this year. He can bunt for base hits. He had the 53-game on-base streak. He can steal bases. Great defender. Hit behind runners. Hit sacrifice flies. Do all the little things you love. Hey, add to his bucket. How about pitching? And, when I talked to him, he actually was a very, very, very good pitcher in college at Southeastern Louisiana. He came in, you can see right here, with the Dodgers losing by just 1 run. He was running it up to home plate at 90. Okay, so this is not just your typical position player pitching. This is a left-handed skilled pitcher that was good in college. He was good against, he pitched against several Division I teams like LSU and teams like that and had success. And as a matter of fact, he thought about, coming into pro ball, should I be a pitcher? Should I be a position player? Try both. So Drew Avens, this guy can actually pitch. I'm not saying he's going to transition from, being a position player to a pitcher solely, but hey, man, anything you can add to say, I can do this to help your versatility to get on a major league roster, you'll take that, no doubt about it. So, okay, 90-mile-an-hour fastball. In college, as a matter of fact, his ERA was .356 for the Lions there at Southeastern Louisiana. I want to give mad props to who you're seeing here, which is Keegan Curtis, who opened for AAA Oklahoma City on Wednesday. He went 2 scoreless, and he was 93.6 on his four-seam, and the average, I should say, easy for me to say. Let me get that right. Average exit velo on his fastball on the balls that were hit that we're seeing just like this right here was just 79.8. So Keegan Curtis did a great job. There's David Freitas. I love watching him pitch. Average exit velo just 79.8, so he induced a lot of weak contact. His slider cutter combo was very, very good. They were both in the low 80s, so good job, Keegan Curtis. Couple things here. It seems like the Tulsa Drillers, they bring out a new uniform just about every night, and every time they bring out a new uniform, they are absolutely awesome. I love the uniforms the Drillers are using, and that's your 4th of July uniform right there. You see the red, white, and blue. And then also, how about that? Austin Gauthier went oppo for a home run. He's hitting .330 on the year. OPS 992. Can you believe that? Austin Gauthier, opposite field home run. Hey, man, his dad and all the guys at Hofstra and all the people at the SoCo and all the village of people that taught him how to stay inside of a baseball, use the big parts of the field, go the other way. Boy, they did a wonderful job with him, and they're being rewarded this year with a fantastic season by Austin Gauthier. So here's one you'll probably want to see. This is Diego Cartaya. Look at his attack plan right here. The way that he is, his flight to the ball with his hands. Look how that barrel is coming down at the ball. The hands are not lifting. Let me back that up one more time, and let me actually slow it down from there. Watch the hands. I've talked about he gets beat sometimes because he has a negative bat angle. So look at this bat angle. See how that's very negative. That's a very negative bat angle. But then also many times his hands lift through the ball. And when I say through the ball, I mean they're actually lifting before he actually gets to the ball. So they'll come here and then they'll come out that way and lift. And because of that, he gets jammed and hits a lot of weak fly balls to right field, and or he overcompensates and gets a lot of rollover ground balls. Not right now. Look at this adjustment he's made. Watch his hands. Watch how flat his hands come to the ball. Look at the path of his hands right there. The hands actually come down to the ball. You can see his hands come right here to the ball. Let me show you to that one more time. Hands down to the ball, which means the barrel's actually coming down to the ball as well. And that is an adjustment that Diego Cartaya absolutely had to make, and since he's made that, watch out. He's going to be able to get to that inside pitch. He's going to be able to do what he did right here and take that outside pitch with power to the opposite field. So if he keeps swinging like that, with that adjustment that he has made with the path of his hands, watch out, because this guy, we know that he can overpower professionals. Standing ovation of the last week, I would have to say, hey, there's been a lot of big performances, Johnny DeLuca and all that, but at the minor league level, of course, Eddys Leonard had the big outing. But as far as a guy that, hey, I've talked about, of all the moves, over 130 moves the Dodgers have made, transactions, I should say, that the one team it's affected the most has been Tulsa. So Orlando Ortiz gets called up from Great Lakes, and he makes his Double-A debut. And Tulsa is a team that desperately needs pitching right now with all the transactions they've made. Of course, they lost Landon Knack. Nick Frasso has only gone, has had 3 outings in a row where he hasn't gone very far into those games. So they needed a dude to come up to Double-A Tulsa. I always have a hard time saying that because from Midland to Tulsa it's down, but you're actually getting promoted up. So do you say up or down? I'm going to say up to Tulsa. He comes and he throws 6 scoreless innings. He struck out 3, walked just 1. His ERA is 3.20. Orlando Ortiz, good breaking ball. So, hey, how about that? The club desperately needed Ortiz to come up with a big outing. Not only did he come up with a scoreless outing, he came up with a long outing at 6 innings. So, hey, congratulations, standing ovation to Orlando Ortiz. So I mentioned that Austin Gauthier hit an opposite field home run. Well, then Audrey Acosta, he also went scoreless in 2 innings of his action on Wednesday. So, hey, in other news, grass is green, water is wet. It's usually hot in July, right? These are things that we've just totally become accustomed to. Acosta has a 2.65 ERA. His whip is just 0.94, and he's gone scoreless in 19 outings in a row. So like I talk about, those scoreless outings are just something we've become accustomed to him. And not only has he gone scoreless in 19 outings this year, in the outings to where he did give up runs, he's only allowed more than one run on 3 different occasions. So Audrey Acosta, he was just fantastic last year. Matter of fact, he was so good that the Dodgers gave him a good look at spring training, and he's having another wonderful year this year as well. All right, I'm getting ready to get really fired up because now I get to have some fun and talk about my man, Max Hewitt, my Oklahoma State Cowboy. I love this young man. Hey, at Oklahoma State, we used to say Max Hewitt, he is just a mood. He loves playing baseball. He's the least entitled, grittiest, toughest-minded, just scrappy player, very talented as well, out of Canada. He had 3 hits for Great Lakes, and he has 3 for his last 4 and 4 for his last 6. This is a young man that has been relegated to bullpen catching duties the last 2 years, and despite that, he has come to be one of the most well-respected players in the entire organization at any level, because all of his teammates see just how gritty this young man and just how awesome his work ethic is, and they also realize, hey, if he's given a chance, he is also very good. So Max Hewitt, get used to hearing that name. Very good young player. You talk about him and Taylor Young, and Bubba Aline, Dalton Rushing, and Alex Freeland, and all of these just bookworm baseball guys. There's a reason why Great Lakes has been so good this year. Boy, if you follow Dodgers Daily much, you know how high I am on Chris Newell, and look at that. That is beautiful power. That's flashbacks to Carson Taylor's very first home run as a professional. If you remember Carson Taylor, his first home run came right here at Dayton, and it bounced right onto that street just like this home run from Chris Newell did. This was his 20th home run of the year. Like I always talk about with Newell, big power, equal speed. He has 13 stolen bases, 20 home runs. Combine that with a 271 average, OPS 946. He can beat a defense in every single which way. The left-handed version of what I call Chris Newell is the left-handed version of Johnny DeLuca. Boy, talk about, earlier Max Hewitt and all the guys that are just bookmark smart and just grub worms and tough and not entitled. Add Yainer Fernandez to the top of that list. Catcher, second baseman, whatever you need him to be. He is having a really good year. Just gritty, tough, very talented. Okay, so again, not a secret why Great Lakes has been good. They have a bunch of guys like Yainer Fernandez that just love playing the game of baseball. He had 2 hits Wednesday night. He has multi-hit games and 3 games in a row, and he has 7 for his last 14. He's hitting .364 in July. So, hey, like I said, these guys aren't just tough and gritty and all that. They also are very, very good. And again, that's why the Great Lakes Loons have been so good this year. Hey, Jermaine Rosario, man, he's stringing back-to-back outings in a row. You know, I've talked about in the past. One great outing, one that kind of goes sideways, this and that, and it's kind of been that back and forth. Not anymore. Jermaine Rosario went 5 innings in his last outing, gave up just 1 run, had 6 strikeouts and 1 walk. Big stuff. He always strikes a lot of guys out. When the ball's in the zone, he always gets a lot of outs and has great performances. So very tough to hit whenever he is on, okay? And he's given up just 2 earned runs in his last 15.1 innings, and he has 21 strikeouts, just 3 walks in those 15.1 innings. So that goes to show you right there just how explosive Jermaine Rosario's stuff is. Franklin De La Paz, I always say that, you know, he reminds me of Jeff Belger. The Dodgers traded in the offseason to, I believe, it was the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Good outing for him. He put up a 0 in his 1 inning of action. Good look at him. Kind of has that 3/4 slot from the left side, falls off a little bit to the third base side. You would have to assume that is very tough on lefties. And also because he crossfires a little bit, that ball rides in, as you saw it right there, on right-handers very well as well. So good look at Franklin De La Paz. I'd mentioned several different times Lucas Webb, a little bit older at the single-A level. I thought the Dodgers would fast-track him. Sure as heck, here he is at Great Lakes and working his way up. I would not be surprised if he doesn't end up in Tulsa. I've said that a couple of times this year, and, you know, he moved up to Great Lakes early in July. Maybe here in a month, maybe a month and a half, move him up to Tulsa, give him his last 2 or 3 outings at the AA level. I think that's probably the track that Lucas Webb is on. We will have to see, and that's because, like I said, he is a little bit older. Got his first save in high A with Great Lakes, going 1 scoreless Wednesday night that you're seeing right here. And Webb is having a great year, ERA 2.29, WHIP just 0.96, and he's gone scoreless in 8 outings in a row, and in 14 of his last 15. And in that stretch, in that 14 of 15, he has 40 Ks, just 4 walks, 40 strikeouts, just 4 walks in his last 15 outings, and 22.2 innings. So great job, Lucas Webb. Moving on to Rancho Cucamonga. This is Dayton Dooney. Let me back that up so you can get a better look at him. There you go, right there. Nice little sweet swing. Let me back that up and stop. We have never really actually looked at a whole lot of Dayton Dooney, so let's check out his swing right here. Right-handed, good little soft load. Foot lands very softly. The hands are in a great position to hit right here. And then watch the path of the hands. There, a 0-degree slot where the barrel flattens. And look at that barrel. Listen, now look at the top end. Watch the top end. Turn that barrel. Top end. Turn the barrel. Kind of a mix between east and west, north and south. I would call that a little bit more north and south. But hey, if you want to have, you know, this right here, getting in that position is what gives you your consistency, because it allows you to get your barrel in the zone for the longer period of time. But this move right here, where you turn the barrel with the top hand, right, well, let me back it up. Right there, that move, turn the barrel right there with the top hand. Let me see if I can go one more time at this. Right hand, there. That where you turn that barrel with the top end, that's where you get your power at the front of the swing. So Dayton Dooney, man, he has a very good swing as well. He's a young man that was drafted in the 6th round of the 2021 draft. He's a guy, if you just watch the mechanics, watch him take BP, very, very impressive. Kansas City drafted him in 2021. Again, 6th round. They released him last March. The next month in April, the Dodgers picked him up, and he has 3 hits in his last 4 games. So we'll keep an eye on Dayton Dooney. Another good look at Josue De Paula. I always say that he has some Bernie Williams in him. To me, that's who I see every time I see him hit. He had 2 hits for Rancho on Wednesday, 5 for his last 7. And this, he actually started this series with Inland, 5 for his first 7. And he also has hits in 4 games in a row and 5 of his last 6. And how about this? Josue De Paula, he's getting comfortable with the affiliates with Rancho. 444 so far in July. OPS 11-11. So Josue De Paula hitting very well for Rancho. One of my favorite Rancho relievers, if not my exact favorite Rancho reliever, Yoel Ibarra. I love the way he comes right at hitters right there, that 4-seam. It's 96, but it looks like it's a lot hotter than that because there's a lot of whip to it. I mean, that looks hotter than 96 to me. And he just comes right at hitters, completely fearless. Then that little cutter he mixes in as well. Lowered his ERA to 150. When he is in the zone, he's virtually unhittable. What you're seeing right here, kind of like Madison Jeffrey, but he's not always in the zone, okay? He's given up just 7 hits in 36 innings, and he has 44 strikeouts in those 36 innings. Let me say that again. 36 innings, 7 hits, 44 strikeouts. That's impressive, but the problem is he's not always throwing strikes, but when he is fantastic. Whip on the year for Ibarra, just 1, and he's gone scoreless in 5 in a row, 7 of his last 8, and 11 of 13. I'll be surprised if Ibarra does not end up the year in Great Lakes, so we'll see what happens. How about Kelvin Ramirez? Big, tall, long drink of water for Rancho Cucamonga. Slender guy. He threw the last 2 innings scoreless on Wednesday. He struck out 4, recorded his first save. Fastball in the 96 range, so the fastballs you're seeing right here are coming out about 96. Very effortless, almost the exact opposite of Ibarra. Ibarra looks max effort, like it's coming faster, whereas for Ramirez, that 96 looks a lot easier to him, and it appears like it's not as fast, so that's going to be more deceptive for the hitter. So Kelvin Ramirez, there's a good look at his long, lanky, tall drink of water body for him. So another congratulations goes out to my man Justin Robleski. I have let you in on the ground floor for him. I've been telling you about him, got a chance to see him at Oklahoma State. I've been telling you 98 mile an hour fastball, been telling you about his stuff, been telling you about his process, been telling you about how everything as far as his nutrition, his workout habits, his mental toughness, and his stuff, how it's all just absolutely spot on. Congratulations to Justin Robleski. He was named the Midwest League Pitcher of the Month for June. That is absolutely fantastic. In June, Robleski posted an ERA of 109. His whip was 093, and his average against was just 195. So again, congratulations, Justin Robleski. Congrats to Gabe Emmett for being the pitcher of the month in the Cal League. Okay, so you had Robleski, who was the pitcher of the month in the Midwest League, and then you had Gabe Emmett, who was the pitcher of the month in the Cal League. Emmett posted a 129 ERA in June, combined with a whip of just 086, average against of 136. So congratulations to Gabe Emmett. Skipping around a little bit here today between team to team, but that's okay, because I wanted to circle back around to this awesome moment. This was a walk-off on the 4th of July in front of over 8,000 people, a sold-out crowd at One Oak Field in downtown Tulsa. It was an awesome moment. And how about this? Okay, that means that he had a hitting streak in 6 games in a row. He got a hit last night too. So Eddys Leonard has hits in 7 games in a row, and he's hitting .474 so far in June, OPS 956. I've told you, Eddys Leonard, I love his swing, just how simple his movements are. I love, the path that he gets to the ball with. Started out slow, starting to get hot. How about .474 so far in the month of June with this huge walk-off? I keep bouncing around because I haven't put out a show in a while, and my tweets are kind of, from here to there, my notes. So, hey, you'll just have to deal with the bouncing around for this show. I'm usually a little bit more organized than that, but want to make sure to get to everybody. This is Alec Gamboa. He got promoted to AAA, and then he got sent back down to AA, promoted back to AAA, and I've been telling people how good his stuff is. Well, how about 95.5 on the 4-seam from the left side? He can hit as high as 96. I've seen in the past, and he had a 33% whiff rate on the 4-seam. He got whiffs on all 5 of his changeups, so that 4-seam changeup combo was very good. He also threw 5 sliders. 3 of them were for strikes, and so he had 2 strike pitches, his 4-seam and his slider, that he threw for strikes. And then because he was throwing strikes with his fastball, you want between your 3 pitches, you want 1 fastball and then 1 of your secondaries to be strike pitches, and then that 3rd one can be your put away pitch. Well, that 3rd put away pitch was his changeup, which was very good. And how about this, Alec Gamboa? ERA on the year of just 172, whip of just 098. So the young man out of Madera, who's had a long road, he's been a lifelong Dodgers fan. Congratulations to him. He is getting that much closer to L.A. I've talked a lot lately about Gus Varlin. He struck out 2 in his last outing on Wednesday night, and he went 1 scoreless inning. He touched 97.7, and there's more in the tank. He can hit higher than that 97.7. He reached 25.07 on a spin rate, which is really, really good. And he had as little as 12 inches of vertical break, which means that 4-seam not only is at 97.7 with good spin, that means it's just riding the top of the zone big time, and it's giving that rising effect a lot to the hitter, which makes it a lot tougher, especially when you have hitters like that like to swing straight up at the baseball. And then he also had 8 inches, just 8 inches, as little as 8 inches of horizontal break. So that four-seam is a big-time pitch right now for Gus Varland, and his ERA in June is 1.98, and he's gone scoreless in 9 of his last 10. Wanted to show you Victor Gonzalez's performance last night. Got sent back down just recently through a scoreless inning. He hit 95.7 with the four-seam, and he averaged 21.66 spin on the sinker. His sinker was 27 inches of vertical break, so it had good depth to it, the sinker did. 20 inches of horizontal break, so that's a lot of movement for one pitch, and he got whiffs on all 4 of the sliders because of all that movement. So his sinker-slider combo was good in his last outing. There you can see it right there for Victor Gonzalez. Back to yesterday's action and madduxbruns. Boy, what an outing he had. He turned in his best outing of probably his career, definitely his best outing of the season. It was the longest outing of 2023, 5 innings. He had the most strikeouts of any one outing with 9, and he only gave up 1 hit and absolutely 0 runs. And on the year, madduxbruns' ERA is just 2.06, and he's gone scoreless in 9 outings in a row and has 81 strikeouts in just 56.2 innings. So, hey, the young man out of Mobile, Alabama, who, like, many of these young Dodgers pitchers, has worked through, getting the ball in the strike zone consistently so he can take that great stuff and actually make it effective. And he is on his way right now, having a great year. High drama last night in Dayton. Last year, the Great Lakes Loons, they were down. I can't remember exactly what it was. Brad Tunney can remember, but they were down like 7 games or something like that with 11 to play, and they caught Dayton in the first half and actually won the first half title to make the playoffs. And ever since then, this Dayton and Great Lakes series has been great. Look at Michaelhobbs right there. The big-time curveball, the big-time energy. That right there of what you're seeing right here, that big curveball and that just intensity, that's why he was the all-time saves leader at St. Mary's. I always talk about Michaelhobbs. He is the steal of the 2011 draft. Just give him the damn ball and get out of his way. So there was some jaw-jacking going on last night in the Great Lakes games. This is carlosdelossantos. Let me back that up. Okay, how about this? A little stare down to all the people in the stands, maybe the dugout. I think that's probably the dugout, maybe the stands that he's staring down right there. Let me back that up one more time. They look like Dave Stewart to you? Kind of that Dave Stewart looking intimidating stare from carlosdelossantos. And then he came out throwing 97 mile-an-hour gas, and he struck out 2 of the 3 hitters that he faced. So, hey, that was a hell of a lot of fun to watch in an 11-inning game that the Great Lakes Loons won. So to finish last night's game, the Loons brought in Juanmorillo that you're seeing right here. He hit 99. You saw the big slider, the intensity from Michaelhobbs, and then they finished it with carlosdelossantos, who hit 98. And hey, that's 3 pitchers. So the 3 names that I give them: good morning, good afternoon, and good night. And that's what it was for Dayton last night in the 11-inning victory for the Great Lakes Loons. Murillo now has gone scoreless in 11 of 12, 12 of 15, and 15 of 17. 11 of 12 and 15 of 17, I should say. And since Great Lakes caught Dayton last year, I mentioned it. Hey, this series right here is must-watch TV. Back to Rancho. Hey, this is jesusgaliz, Jeff Kent-wise. I've had people on my social media say his swing looks like Jeff Kent. So let me rewind that and let you think of Jeff Kent and then look at that swing. That kind of looks almost the exact same. jesusgaliz. Man, his lower half is getting bigger. Sweet, sweet swing. Let me back this up again. One of my favorite swings to analyze in the game. Just look how soft his movements are. The hands are stretching back right there, creating the rubber band. Watch the front foot gets down on time. Very soft. The movements are very soft, which means your head's not going to move a lot. You're going to be very balanced. Look how balanced he is. And then watch the path of the hands. Okay, I love the way he gets to the ball. He gets through the ball. Just this turn right there, just so simple. So simple and so sweet. I love that swing of jesusgaliz. I can do that right there all day long. Hey, he's getting comfortable and he's starting to play very well. So he's got the flat path I talked about with Ryan Ward earlier, where he should be able to be consistent in the middle of his swing to the back of his swing. But then, as we saw in this swing here, also he has some lift at the front of it, so he also should have some power at the front of his swing as well. Staying with Rancho Cucamonga, this is Peter Heubeck. If you remember the Dodgers, they drafted him out of Gilman High School, so they drafted him straight out of high school. Went 5 innings last night. Heubeck gave up just 1 run. 5Ks. He grew up around Gavin Sheets. They still talk, and the White Sox, they're at spring training. They locker right next to the Dodgers. They get to talk quite a bit. And, so he grew up around a lot of very, very, very famous people. So Cal Ripken Jr. actually was a coach of Gilman while he was in middle school. So, and Heubeck's dad was an assistant coach as well. So you had Larry Sheets, whose son Gavin Sheets was in the major leagues. He was the head coach. And then you had Cal Ripken Jr., who obviously is a Hall of Famer, and then Heubeck's dad. And Pete Heubeck, when he was little, when that was the setup, he got to run around and hang out at all the practices and talk to Gavin Sheets and Cal Ripken Jr.'s oldest son and all that. So grew up obviously loving baseball from that perspective, and he grew up around greatness. And he's a young man that keeps growing. Fastball is around 94. He thinks at a finished product, he'll be around 96 consistently with the fastball. He has the big breaking ball, Michael Grove type breaking ball, Clayton Kershaw from the right there it is, that big breaking ball that he can throw up for a strike quite a bit. So Heubeck has given up just 3 runs in his last 19 outings, and he's gone scoreless in 3 out of his last 4 starts. So there you have it. I apologize for skipping around a little bit, but I had so many notes and so many guys to get to and multiple days because of 4th of July and the craziness. So I didn't necessarily go in order as far as teams, but I wanted to make sure to get to everybody. So it won't be like that every single show. I hope you dealt with it okay for this show and you enjoyed watching all the prospects in the Dodger system. So that's our show for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you tune in tomorrow as well. And just a reminder before we get out of here, if you'd like to help by donating, we have a GoFundMe account. A link to that's in the description. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, share this video, like this video, tell all your friends about it. Make sure your notifications are turned on. As always, thanks for tuning in, and go Dodgers.